I'm David Gosen, and I am the Chief Commercial Officer for Cxense. Firstly, I would like to thank Dragos and Arena for inviting us to come and share some of our thoughts with you today. I'm here with some other members of the Cxense and Piano team. Daniel, Priya, Niels, and Alex are here, so if you have any other questions, then please ask myself or them. I had a really interesting taxi journey from the airport, or an Uber journey from the airport yesterday. Apart from the fact that the Uber driver spent more time looking at me than looking at the road, I had to do 2 calls, and those were 2 calls with some of my team around the world. And we were talking about, obviously, digital, DMP, we were talking about subscription, and he dropped me off at the hotel, and he said, before you get out of the cab, and his English was exceptional, he said, can I give you my CV, please? Because I'm a digital marketing manager, and I just do Uber to earn a little bit of extra money, and I think I can work with you very well in this market. So it was the first time that an Uber driver has applied for a job that I haven't advertised while I'm going for a ride. But the passion was great. Said your CV, yeah, he was very knowledgeable. So can I just, before I go on, can I just check, in a very non-technology driven way, how many publishers do we have here today in the audience? How many people are from a publisher? Don't be shy. No, I'm not going to put an extra tax on you or anything, okay? How many people from media agencies? Oh, okay, yeah. And how many advertisers do we have? Okay, so I think it's about 50% media, 25% publishers, and 25% advertisers. Thank you for that. So let me first start off by just building the fact that we are Cxense. We are a Norwegian company up until last week, till last Thursday, when Piano, which is a New York-based company, acquired Cxense. And it's all part of the consolidation that's happening in the marketplace to enable tech providers, ad tech providers, to scale and compete in the same way that many of you are competing against Google and Facebook. You know, we need to scale and compete as well. And what this does is it brings the DMP capability that Cxense delivers and combines it with Piano's incredible technology to manage a customer journey. So now what we have is a business that manages the customer journey from the beginning to the very end. And obviously we hope there is no end in the customer journey, but it's very exciting news for Cxense, and all of our customers can be confident the fact that we'll continue to deliver the service that we have done in the past. The reason I asked for the split in the room is because I really wanted to share with you, and this isn't, if this is new news, then we're probably not on the same level. As I go around the world and talk to all of these groups individually, I find that there are common themes emerging. And if I look at the publishers, the big challenge is, we know the decline in print. We know the challenge from Google and Facebook. But what has to change is that the opportunity to drive revenues has to be data-driven. And a lot of companies that I talk to, a lot of publishers around the world, talk a very good game about saying, yeah, we're ready for data. Yeah, we do data. And I ask them, how many data analysts do you have? How many data scientists do you have? Do you build your own models? What sort of KPI metrics are you reporting back on? Is there an understanding at all levels of the organization how important data is? And I would say 50%, 50 to 60% of the publishers I talk to are just not ready for data yet. And it's a really important challenge, both from a technology perspective, but also from a skills perspective within the publishing community. Advertisers. We have a number of advertisers who we provide data to and work with. And what's really interesting is that advertisers are starting to want to be publishers. They want to create their own content, and they want to make it very relevant and personal as a way to extend the relationship they have with their brand customers. But again, they're not designed to manage data. They're not designed to use data in a proactive way. And then when I talk to media agencies, it's how do we provide increased value to the advertisers? And how do we work closer with the publishers to really find that value that we can deliver? And again, it's about data. And the thing that combines all of these is that none of these companies were really designed to be data-driven. They have legacy technology, legacy infrastructure, and it makes it very, very difficult, which is bad news for them, but good news for us, because we provide the solutions that help them do it. But these challenges are the same around the world. And just last week, Mark Pritchard, Procter & Gamble, 2 years ago, nothing is transparent, the world needs to change. He was very clear. Procter have been bringing in consumer IDs for years, okay? So they've been collecting that first-party data. And one of the things that's consistent about all the presentations this morning and what Niels and Alex will talk about is the power of first-party data. And they've created what they call smart audiences based on that first-party data, based on that segmentation, and it's all about identifying those with the highest propensity, which needs modeling and data science to enable you to get there. So P&G are setting the bar, and I think it's a really good bar for all of us in the industry to try and follow. So what we think is, we should all be trying to unlock, the power of data in whichever business that we're in, so that our clients, can build long-term, profitable customer relationships. So if you're an advertiser and you're not thinking about customer lifetime value, then you need to go back and have another think about it. If you're a publisher and you're not thinking about how you generate customer lifetime value from your readers, you need to go back and think about it. Because that's where the focus is. And it's only when we start thinking about value creation driven by data do we start to see a change in behavior. So what we try to do is we look at how we can create data sets of value that enable you to create lifetime value. And data fusion, you've got to look at where you can collect your data from, and there is a whole host of sources of that data. You then have to enrich it. Anyone can collect that data, you could argue, but how do you enrich it? And it's location and device and your contact details, and then it's about the segmentation and the interests, and you model it. So it's about deterministic data, and it's about modeled data. And then that's okay. But again, so many publishers I talk to say, we've got all this data, and we've done some great models, but we don't actually do anything with it. And this third step of actioning the data becomes so important in terms of how you create, using real-time technology, one-to-one personalized solutions. Because we are now in a world where technology enables us to have a one-to-one conversation, with our customers, with our consumers. And I'll show you an example of that in a moment. So what we try to do is we think about who in the publishing, in the media world, in the advertiser world is the important audience for us. And we think, okay, on the DMP side, this is the core of what we do as Cxense. And it's where we work with Arena and Michal and help them power the solutions that they provide to the market. But it's about controlling your first-party data. If you are not building first-party data today, you will be out of business in 2-3 years' time, if not sooner. It is super important that you really start to build that first-party data. Then once you have that data, how do you get people to stay with you? How do you get them to register or become a member or subscribe, if that's interesting to you in terms of creating a paywall solution for your business? And again, to understand how that works, you need the insight. And the reporting is so important. Again, I talk to so many publishers who have this information, but they don't have active reporting that allows them to understand how their business works. And I'll give you an example. The last box here is content. Okay? One of the things that is really interesting when I talk to publishers is they say, I'm not ready for subscription yet. I'm not ready for paywall. Okay? That's fine. That's fine. But are you using your data to give your readers the most relevant content that they can consume. And who makes that decision? And they'll say, well, the editorial team is in control, and the editor is a big, scary individual, and he tells me what he wants to put on the front page, and I'm not going to fight with him. Okay? Use the data to show which articles increase page views, increase repeat visits, and increase dwell time. And that's how you can start to use insight and data in a really simple way to show the power of how you can change consumer behavior. And we do this with a number of alliances. You know, we're proud to be working with BRAT, but we actually work with 5 publisher alliances that generate over 5 billion page views monthly, where we act as the central repository for all that data, allowing real-time modeling, lookalike modeling, to create those segments that are either premium segments that have higher value or help the publishers understand where those opportunities lie. So scale is really important. Peter talked in a great way this morning about segments. Segments are just the capability for you to understand your customers better. And then what you can do is, whether they are based on rules or they're based on interest, perhaps maybe on intent or propensity to convert or socio-demographic, it gives you the capability to be a predictive publisher. Because what you want to do, or a predictive advertiser or a predictive brand, because you want to be ahead of your consumers and you want to know more about them than they think you know in a legally compliant, GDPR compliant, opt-in, consent, tick-the-box way, okay? But if you have that understanding, then you can get ahead of them and you can deliver them something that's relevant. And it's that personalization and relevance that the segmentation allows you to do. And then you ask yourself, actually, how well do I know my audience? Where on this journey are most of my customers? And my challenge as a marketer within an advertiser, my challenge as a publisher, my challenge as a media agency, okay, is to work out on this spectrum, where is the point of intervention that creates a change in consumer behavior that leads to them giving me, as a business, more money. And if you don't understand where you are on this spectrum, from anonymous through to high value, you can't work out what tactics you should deploy in the market and what your data strategy should be. So this is a fundamental part of building those relationships we see with all of the people in the ecosystem around the world. And let me give you 3 examples of case studies where we've worked with some of our partners and the impact that it's had. So Mediahuis is another large publisher in Belgium, and they have 84 websites, okay, and 320 million page views per month as an individual publisher. And they had all of this data in different buckets. And what we did for them is we came along and we put it all into one single bucket that enabled them to compete much more impactfully, with the Googles, with the Facebooks, but also understand much more about the business. And whilst click-through rates is a very basic form of measurement, okay, and we need as an industry to move on from click-through rates, it is where a lot of people measure today. And our capability of just bringing all the data together enabled them to increase their click-through rates, because what we're trying to do, obviously, is help them increase the advertising revenue. The Wall Street Journal in the US, 173 million page views, one website, 31 million uniques. We've been working with the Wall Street Journal for the last 7 to 8 years, helping them to build their subscription model. And what we've done over that time is moved from a situation where it was very basic to being content-driven, where content would determine what offers they would serve to their customers, their readers, who they wanted to get to subscribe and then go behind the paywall. Where we are today with them is it's a reader-driven model. We do one-to-one messaging and communication with their customer base, based on all the lookalike modeling, and based on building a propensity model with them, based on the data, that has a 90% accuracy in confirming who is most likely to subscribe to the newspaper, 90%. So that's their data scientists working with our data scientists, using the data to better understand their customers. And the impact that they've seen, you can see, has been significant. Massive subscription growth. But interestingly, they've managed to grow subscription and also grow advertising revenues at the same time. And there is this thought that you cannot do both. If you raise subscription, advertising revenues go down. What the Wall Street Journal has proved through really understanding and modeling the data is that you can increase your advertising revenues alongside your subscription. And then another one of our clients in Canada, it is a smaller client, what we've done with them is really looked at a way that we personalize content. It's back to the content example that I talked about earlier. Because a lot of publishers, as I said, aren't ready to go to paywall, aren't ready to go to subscription. So content recommendation is something that we work with a lot of publishers on. And what we do is, we understand the profile of their readers, we understand where they are, and then in the bottom 3 or 4 boxes on a page, we will serve relevant, personalized content based on that individual's browsing history and behavior on the site. So we make it personal. And again, the results are people stay longer, and they consume more pages, and actually they come back more frequently, and that drives the advertising revenues. So from our perspective, this is all about personalization, but it's about the active usage of data. And whilst we should continue, and I agree with Dragos completely in terms of what he talked about with Google and Facebook, we have the opportunity and the power within all of our businesses to be the change agent and compete with them and show them that if we all work together, we can absolutely drive our revenues, grow the business, protect journalism, and create, I think, an exciting future in the world of online publishing. So let me hand over to Niels now, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you.